Thank you for joining me. I am Precious Mzea Sakaleji. Welcome to Camnet TV Main News. The headlines. ECZ cautions a leadership movement against using combat regalia. UPND fails to field a candidate for the MUFUMBWE town chairmanship. 45 persons denied entry into Zambia due to COVID-19. In international news, displaced Palestinians cry for food. And in sports, CAF appoints KAMANGA as Finance Committee Vice President. Join me with the main news in detail after this commercial.
The much awaited for Camnet conference is now scheduled for May 2021 with your hosts, Pastors Victoria and Moses Chiluba.
We have believed that every Zambian was born for greatness, and that you and I can contribute to the development of this nation.
The big questions to ask are, can Zambia develop through agriculture? Can we produce indigenous Zambian millionaires? Plan not to miss this national conference on empowering Zambians through agriculture knowledge. Dates, 28th to 29th May 2021. Time, 07:30 hours to 16:30 hours. Venue, the Healing Word Ministries International in Ibex Hill. Charges, 950 kwacha, lunch inclusive for both days. Payments through via mobile money on 0962 965 883 or 0979 753 010, or you can pay via Stanbic bank account number 91 3000 1825 325. Speakers will be Professor Reda.
We need Zambia to be one of the best nations in Africa.
Professor Munkumba.
If you just listen to a lecture, you may remember hardly anything. In 2 weeks' time, it's all gone. If you read, you may remember 10% of what you've read. If you participate in a discussion, 50% retention of the knowledge. So I always tell people, knowledge is the only thing that when you share it, you don't lose it.
Professor Msongole.
Agriculture can actually solve our unemployment for our youth. Through exports, agricultural exports, we can also stabilize our foreign exchange.
Honorable Bob Chinga.
When you do a budget, you plan it so that all the sectors, especially those that will give you low-lying fruits, in other words, you can achieve a lot with it, are the first things you do first.
And biologist Kamweneshe.
If we came together and put our hands together and concentrate on the soil. The people in Kenya, these Swahili people say, Dongo ni mali, means soil, that's money.
Register your participation through Camnet lines. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
And now the main news in detail. 8 presidential candidates have so far managed to successfully file in their nomination in the first 2 days. The process was smooth until late afternoon when the Electoral Commission, through Chief Electoral Officer Patrick Nshindano, cautioned the leadership movement for using party regalia that's similar to that of the defense wings. Mr. Nshindano says this is detrimental to holding of free and fair elections. But Party President Richard Silumbe has insisted that his party will stick to its chosen regalia.
The list of presidential candidates appearing on the ballot is getting longer, with 8 already confirmed by the Electoral Commission of Zambia. Among them, the New Heritage Party, Leadership Movement, Zambians United for Sustainable Development, the People's Alliance for Change and Economic Freedom Fighters are some who managed to file in their nomination. Tuesday, New Heritage Party is the only party with a female presidential candidate, and ZUSD has fielded in a female presidential running mate. Chishala Kateka has pledged to liberate the Zambian people from the challenges being faced using her experience.
Looking at, in fact, what we're trying to do is to bring everybody on board so that we can help Zambians to become who they become. What we have recognized is that investors come into the country to invest and make a return on their investment. They do not come here to develop Zambia. The only people that can develop Zambia are Zambians, and we want to galvanize the Zambians towards that.
In a twist of event, Leadership Movement was asked to move the party cadres who were clad in their usual military regalia as it was conflicting with holding a free and fair election.
Please aware, Mr. President, that your party was advised by the Zambia police with regards to the party regalia that resembles official military-like uniform. Having sworn oath to uphold the electoral code of conduct and to promote peaceful elections, you are discouraged from using militarized regalia, as this will promote electoral violence. Mr. President, as a commitment to peaceful elections, we kindly request you to ask your delegation, dressed as such, to wait for you outside as we proceed with the nomination process. Thank you.
But after successively filing in his nomination, Leadership Movement President Richard Silumbe insisted his party regalia has been approved and will continue to use it as a party.
Not changing the regalia maintains, and it shall go through and through, because we do not believe in violence. Let everyone know that the regalia shall be anywhere. Everywhere Leadership Movement is, that regalia will be there, because that is our regalia. It does not represent any violence, and it has nothing to do with violence, because we do not have any track record of violence. Let them refer to those political parties, the usual killers who wear red, green, and they are killing, and not the Leadership Movement.
Others also told journalists about what they will offer the Zambian people.
We are very glad today we were able to complete the filing of nomination after a slight hiccup yesterday. And now we are ready to go on the campaign trail. As you may be aware, the People's Alliance for Change and myself have run for this election before in 2016, and we are making our second attempt. From 2016 to date, we participated in a lot of elections all across the country. So we are coming here with a lot of experience, and we are looking forward to this general election. Our message is clear. We want to ensure that once we are voted into power, we redistribute the land, because there are very few people that have access to land.
Together and say, are we going to continue to be perpetual Jeremiahs, just complaining about the wrong things that are going in our country? Or we were going to take a step and now have our hands dirty so that we can also participate and win the election on the 12th of August. 4 years ago we came together, your own brothers and sisters in diaspora and Zambians here, we came together and we decided to be part and parcel of the successful story of this country.
Meanwhile, Mr. Stephen Nyirenda of National Restoration Party could not manage to file in his nomination due to non-clearance of some documentation. Sharon Kalimbula, Camnet News, Lusaka.
The Zambia police has observed with concern that some political cadres have continued disregarding provisions of the law that criminalizes the wearing of military regalia or anything that closely resembles that of the military or security wings. The police note that such conduct was observed during filing in of nominations where some supporters were spotted putting on such regalia. Zambia police spokesperson Esther Mwatakatongo has warned all those that have such a tendency that they risk being arrested and prosecuted. In a statement issued to Camnet TV News, political parties and candidates have since been advised to guide their supporters accordingly.
As Zambia Police, we have observed that some political cadres have continued disregarding provisions of the law that criminalizes the wearing of military regalia or anything that closely resembles that of the military or security wings. Such conduct was observed during filing in of nominations where some supporters were spotted putting on such regalia. We are sending a strong warning to all those that have such a tendency that they risk being arrested and prosecuted. We are therefore advising political parties and candidates that they should take it upon themselves to guide their supporters accordingly.
Patriotic Front presidential running mate Professor Nkanduluo has pledged to ensure that women's rights are enhanced once given a chance after August 12th, the general elections. Speaking when the non-governmental organization Gender Coordinating Council NGOCC paid a courtesy call on her at her residence, Professor Luo has reminded the Zambian people of how much contributions she has made in the promotion of women's rights, hence pledging to do more. She has meanwhile thanked President Lungu for being a trailblazer in the adoption of women to decision-making positions, as evidenced from the current Vice President Inongawina, but now her as the running mate. Professor Luo has since called on all well-meaning Zambians to support President Lungu and his agenda. And NGOCC chairperson Mary Mlenga has reminded Professor Luo of the huge gender gaps that Zambia has, adding that she should arrive to work on improving them.
The global gender inequality is still high, with men dominating most high-ranking positions. According to the United Nations, women are the most vulnerable, with poverty having been given a female face due to the fact that women occupy at least more than 50% of the world's population. This case scenario is no different from Zambia, where self-political positions are mostly dominated by men and a few positions given to women. This is despite calls by women organizations for the country to observe international protocols which champion for the 50-50 gender representation in decision-making positions. This makes any appointment of a female in the political space celebrated, as it is considered a great step towards gender equality. In this regard, the appointment of Professor Nkanduluo as presidential running mate has cheered the women's movement, the non-governmental Gender Coordinating Council.
Paltry numbers of the women that have been adopted on the various political parties, according to our analysis. Whichever party gets into government, we are hoping that those 8 nominated positions, that they will be given to the women. If not, at least 50% of those positions. So, ma'am, we are very, very grateful. Thank you very much.
And Professor Nkanduluo, who could not hide her joy, says she will pick it up from where the current Vice President has left off once given a chance to lead this country alongside President Edgar Lungu after the August 12th elections.
And I intend to get into the shoes of my Inongawina. I know they will be very big for me to fit, but I'll try my best, because we cannot afford to disappoint the president of this country. And I'm calling upon you as NGOCC to really rally behind good things that are happening in this country. For me, I see the future of women in Zambia very bright, really, really bright. And my role, obviously, which His Excellency knows, even when we are in cabinet, when a board is brought, the first thing he says, are the women enough? So he is already a self-made man who supports women. So my role is just to support the vision that he has for women in Zambia.
Professor Luo is the first running mate to be availed, seconded by the Zambians United for Sustainable Development, with Rosemary Chavumba as a running mate. Sharon Kalimbula, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Meanwhile, the Civil Society Constitution Agenda SISCA has demanded for an apology from Professor Nkanduluo for her 2020 unconstitutional blatant discrimination and tribal remarks against the people of Southern Province at a campaign meeting in Luapula Province. Professor Luo, at a campaign rally in Northern Province, says that no Tonga can succeed a Bemba in an event of death. SISCA chairperson Judith Mlenga says Professor Luo needs to be accountable for our own thoughts, conscience and utterance as per Constitution and Article 19 on freedom of thoughts, conscience and religion, and Article 20 on freedom of expression. But the Inter-Africa Governance Network Executive Director Maurice Malambo believes that if supported, both President Lungu and his running mate can bring about development. Speaking in an interview in Lusaka, Mr. Malambo says having a person like Professor Luo serving at the highest level of governance will greatly contribute to the growth of the country, looking at her vast knowledge and experience in governance issues. Meanwhile, political scientist Musiane Sichone has disclosed that the appointment of Professor Nkanduluo as President Edgar Lungu's running mate in the August 2021 presidential elections shows how committed the ruling Patriotic Front is to gender equality. Mr. Sichone explains that Professor Nkanduluo is a disciplinarian who will maintain discipline in the political landscape.
With regard to the appointment of Professor Nkanduluo, it is very important for His Excellency President Edgar Lungu to surround himself with people that are knowledgeable. We want the President to surround himself with people that have an equal understanding of the political landscape and the political environment in Zambia. She's a very seasoned politician. She's academically qualified, and the analysis of issues, okay, can be considered to be far more superior than any other layperson in Zambia or any other average person.
She has some credentials of credibility in the sense that when she presided over at a time when Zambia was hosting the ICASA conference, the international community poured in a lot of millions of dollars into Zambia, that is the Ministry of Health. During that time, there was no reportage of misappropriation of funds, either directly by our office or even by subordinates, to mean that there was a great deal of accountability. We'd like to believe on that basis that she's more of a disciplinarian.
The Zambia Congress of Trade Unions, ZCTU, says a decent work agenda must be at the center of government action to bring back economic growth and contribute to building an economy that puts people first. Speaking during the launch of its Workers' Manifesto in Lusaka, ZCTU President Chishimbankole says the manifesto launched puts the Zambian workers in the spotlight by recognizing that so many people's working lives are dominated by low pay, insecurity and powerlessness. Mr. Nkole says Zambia is holding its elections, thus workers' aspirations will be presented to various political players aspiring for public office. And ZCTU Secretary General Cosmas Mukuka says there is a need to scrutinize individuals aspiring for public office to ensure that only leaders who will ensure workers' specific demands and aspirations are met get ushered into office.
Solidarity is a song that the labor movement has been singing in a long time. With increased debt levels, high inflation and low gross domestic product GDP, workers in Zambia have been faced with various challenges. And as the cost of living keeps rising, real wages have been eroding with time because there is no corresponding improvement in wages to cushion the rise in inflation. This is why the Zambia Congress of Trade Unions ZCTU has launched its Workers' Manifesto, which addresses the plight of workers in Zambia.
The development of the Workers' Manifesto has come at an opportune time when Zambia is holding general elections. It is therefore the building block on which the workers' aspirations will be presented to various political players aspiring for public office. This Workers' Manifesto thus contains both worker-specific demands and aspirations, as well as the demands and aspirations of the nation as a whole. This manifesto puts the Zambian worker on the spotlight by recognizing that so many people's working lives are dominated by low pay, insecurity, and powerlessness.
Mr. Nkandu adds that the manifesto puts the Zambian workers on the spotlight by recognizing that so many people's work are dominated by low pay, insecurities and powerlessness.
So when there are elections, let's remember that it has to be the manifesto. It has to be the political demands, so that those who conform to our wishes are going to be voted for. And that is a workers' vote. That is the worker power. We have the power that power can only be realized if you are not politically biased, and then you understand that everybody now, people are becoming more friendly than ever because they want those votes. But what is in it for us? That's why we are here, dear comrades.
ZCTU now wants every aspiring leader to be tasked and questioned how they will ensure that the lives of workers in Zambia are improved with the adoption of the launched manifesto.
We have done all the research which we could, matters which are affecting the workers out there, matters and common problems which are affecting workers in Zambia, so that we open our doors and we share what we feel should be done for the workers of Zambia, so that the parties aspiring to form government can still take up our concerns.
We as FPS stand together with the labor movement of Zambia to support them to bring out the concerns of the Zambian worker, because Zambian workers play a very important role. They are part of the community, they are part of the workforce in Zambia, they are part of the voters. So it is very, very important that they put up their demands in a democracy and participate fully as they offer checks and balances.
The labor movement recognizes that the state of human and social development in Zambia is generally poor and is characterized by high poverty levels, huge income inequalities, high social inequalities, high cost of living, and poor public service provision. These conditions have negatively affected the life of the working class in Zambia, particularly leading to inadequate access to quality social basic needs, hence the need to address these challenges by those in authority. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
In other news, the Continental Leadership Research Institute says the quality of leadership the country will usher into office after August 12, 2021 will reflect the level of development the nation will have in the next 5 years. In a statement reacting to the successful filing in of nomination by some candidates, Organization Executive Director Paul Hankula notes that the caliber of members of parliament who will be elected and potential ministers would be tasked with not only legislation but policy formulation. Mr. Hankula has since called on the electorate to take time to scrutinize the kind of leadership they will entrust with authority at varying levels of governance. He adds that the electorate have a responsibility to ensure that they set a high bar of leadership they elect so as to avoid compromising the developmental agenda of the country.
As an institute, we are aware that the kind of leaders that we put in the governance of our country would directly translate in the level of development that we are going to achieve at various levels. And it is important that candidates are scrutinized based on their manifestos, based on that which they are espousing that they are going to do. At this particular time in our country, we are in their need of leadership that is going to drive the political and the economic agenda of our country. And it is important that young people and all other voters take time to scrutinize the leaders that are aspiring for various offices. We are aware that Article 116, Sub-Article 1 of the Constitution of Zambia provides that the members of parliament, the president will appoint ministers from members of parliament. It therefore means that members of parliament are substantive ministers, and the caliber of the caliber of ministers that we are going to have will be drawn from parliament itself.
The opposition United Party for National Development UPND has failed to field in a candidate for the MUFUMBWE Town Council chairmanship. This is because the party's adopted candidate Kajilo Mzungu has no qualifications, which meant a grade 12 certificate. Frantic efforts by the party to find a replacement failed as it went from one place to the other looking for a grade 12 certificate holder before giving up. This means that the position will now be a contest of 3 candidates, namely Stephen KAMANGA of the Patriotic Front, Remy Masiye, an independent, and Socialist Party Augustine Saluleni. The UPND has also failed to field in a candidate at parliamentary level in Nalolo constituency of Western Province. You're watching Camnet TV's main news. We take our first set of commercials. We'll be back with more news after this.
From time immemorial, we have had different types of lighting options, from those that can burn down our investments in minutes to those that dig holes in our pockets due to constant replacement and huge consumption of our ZESCO units. Savenda Electric introduces the new and advanced electric bulb with cutting-edge technology of LED that has low power consumption, gives out bright white light, and lasts up to 25,000 hours. Savenda Electric manufactures all types of LED light, like plastic LED fluorescent tubes, down lights, ceiling lights, outdoor fittings, and solar street lights made to customer specifications. Let's live on the bright side of life by choosing the wide range of Savenda electric lighting solutions that are available in all leading stores and supermarkets countrywide. For orders, call 0962 642 490 or email jnbanda@savenda.com or pchabula@savenda.com.
President Dr. Edgar Chagwa Lungu and the PF have facilitated increased electricity generation to 3,000 megawatts from 1,767 megawatts in 2011. Vote for President Edgar Chagwa Lungu and the PF that have brought you change.
Oh yes, it's Mayday all the way. You've worked hard. Now it's time to play even harder with entertainment that you'll absolutely love this month on GoTV. Okay, shake things up a little and you'll never know what drama will fall. No matter your age, there's always some fun to be had. And if it ain't broke, they'll fix it anyway. For your favorite shows, stay connected to GoTV to get into Mayday entertainment.
Find something to distract me.
You got it, no problem. GoTV, love it.
The much awaited for Camnet conference is now scheduled for May 2021 with your hosts, Pastors Victoria and Moses Chiluba.
We have believed that every Zambian was born for greatness and that you and I can contribute to the development of this nation.
The big questions to ask are, can Zambia develop through agriculture? Can we produce indigenous Zambian millionaires? Plan not to miss this national conference on empowering Zambians through agriculture knowledge. Dates, 28th to 29th May 2021. Time, 0730 hours to 1630 hours. Venue, the Healing Word Ministries International in Ibex Hill. Charges, 950 kwacha, lunch inclusive for both days. Payments through via mobile money on 0962 965 883 or 0979 753 010. Or you can pay via Stanbic Bank account number 91 3000 1825 325. Speakers will be Professor Reda.
We need Zambia to be one of the best nations in Africa.
Professor Munkumba.
If you just listen to a lecture, you may remember hardly anything. In 2 weeks' time, it's all gone. If you read, you may remember 10% of what you've read. If you participate in a discussion, 50% retention of the knowledge. So I always tell people, knowledge is the only thing that when you share it, you don't lose it.
Professor Msongole.
Agriculture can actually solve our unemployment for our youth. Through exports, agricultural exports, we can also stabilize our foreign exchange.
Honorable Bob Chinga.
When you do a budget, you plan it so that all the sectors, especially those that will give you low-lying fruits, in other words, you can achieve a lot with it, are the first things you do first.
And biologist Kamweneshe.
If we came together and put our hands together and concentrate on the soil. The people in Kenya, these Swahili people say, Dongo ni mali, means soil, that's money.
Register your participation through Camnet lines. Camnet TV, not just another channel. Thank you for staying with us. We continue with the rest of the news.
Government has banned any person without a SARS-CoV-2 negative certificate from entering the country. Ministry of Health Permanent Secretary for Technical Services, Dr. Kenneth Malama, says the surveillance has been heightened at all points of entry to ensure that those entering the country have a negative COVID-19 status. Dr. Malama says out of the over 6,000 persons screened at the point of entry nationwide, 45 have been denied entry, while 301 have undergone mandatory testing, in which 98 have been admitted to the 14-day mandatory self-quarantine. The permanent secretary further says a new Indian variant B1617 has been detected in one person who traveled from India to Zambia, who has since been isolated.
With a third wave of COVID-19 terrorizing many countries, with high numbers of deaths being reported in countries such as India, the Zambian government has heightened its surveillance system to ensure that the third wave does not affect the country that is scheduled to hold its election in 3 months' time. To that effect, Ministry of Health says it has banned any person without a SARS-CoV-2 negative certificate from entering Zambia. Ministry of Health Permanent Secretary Technical Services Dr. Kennedy Malama, during the routine update Tuesday morning, said a new Indian variant B1617 has been detected in one person who traveled from India to Zambia, who has since been isolated.
People were denied entry. If you come now, it's clear that to enter Zambia, and indeed many other countries in the region, you need to have a SARS-CoV-2 negative certificate. So if by any reason, be it by road or by air, you land at the point of entry and you don't have evidence that you have a negative SARS-CoV-2 certificate, you will not be allowed to enter. And that's the main reason. You need to be compliant and you need to ensure that you come with that certificate.
And the permanent secretary adds that the country is likely to encounter challenges in acquisition of the AstraZeneca vaccines through the COVAX facility due to circumstances leading to increased COVID-19 cases in India, which is now prioritizing vaccinating its citizens. This means government will only be vaccinating those who have already gotten the first dose of vaccine, as it looks to other sources of vaccinations.
To encounter challenges in the acquisition of AstraZeneca through the COVAX facility. Therefore, as a country, we've made a decision to ring-fence the remaining doses of AstraZeneca vaccines for use as a second dose for members of the public who have already been vaccinated with the first dose of AstraZeneca vaccine. We are actively engaging various stakeholders, including the Africa Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, using our existing diplomatic channels, the private sector, among others, in line with cabinet approval to mobilize more vaccines for our people.
And in the last 24 hours, 60 new confirmed COVID-19 cases have been recorded, with Lusaka recording the highest number of infections with 29 persons.
In the last 24 hours as a country, we recorded a total of 16 new confirmed cases of COVID-19 out of 4,877 tests we conducted, which is 1.2% positivity spread across the 9 provinces. As note, we recorded 2 deaths in the last 24 hours, one from Levi Mwanawasa Hospital, COVID-19 Isolation and Treatment Center, and the other one from Ndola Teaching Hospital on the Copperbelt. The cumulative number of COVID-19 related deaths recorded to date now stands at 1,263.
COVID-19 is real and kills. Thus, it is important for everyone to continue adhering to the preventive guideline even as we head towards the general elections. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Chapter 1 Foundation Limited has argued before the Lusaka High Court that the submission by the Zambia Medicine Regulatory Authority ZAMRA that the distribution of medicines were not irregular but in line with its mandate is not true. In this case, Chapter 1 Foundation Limited has sued ZAMRA and the Zambia Medicines and Medical Supply Agency for failing to perform their statutory duties and exposing the citizenry to substandard medicines and medical supplies which have untoward effects on their health. Chapter 1 Foundation Limited has submitted that ZAMRA will be misleading the citizenry if it says that the sampling and testing of medical products for quality assessment can be carried out at any point of the supply chain as clause 3 sub 1 of its good distribution. Practices guidelines requires that quality of medicine and allied substances is maintained throughout the distribution process from the manufacturer or dispensary to the patient.
The case where Chapter 1 Foundation Limited has dragged two institutions to court, namely Zambia Medicine Regulatory Authority ZAMRA and Zambia Medicines and Medical Supply Agency ZAMSA, for failing to perform their statutory duties and exposing citizens to substandard medicines and medical supplies, which has untold effects on their health, continues before court. Chapter 1 Foundation, who is a plaintiff in this matter, has sued the two institutions following the issue of the supply of defective medicines, which came to the spotlight early this year during the revelation of the Public Accounts Committee hearing on how a company was awarded a contract through the Ministry of Health to supply drugs, but was later discovered that the said medicine was not good for citizen use. Chapter 1 Foundation in this matter wants an order that ZAMRA and ZAMSA give a detailed account and description, including but not limited to the names and batch numbers of all the record medicines and medical supplies supplied by International Drug Company Limited, Honeybee Pharmaceutical Limited, and Chalina Pharmaceutical Zambia Limited. Chapter 1 Foundation is also seeking an order that the defendant give an extent to which all the record medicines and allied substances have been distributed, including quantities distributed, dates of distribution, location, and an estimate of the number of people exposed to them. In its latest submissions filed before the Lusaka High Court, it states that ZAMRA will be misleading if it says that the sampling and testing of medical products for quality assessment may be carried out at any point of the supply chain as clause 3.1 of its good distributions practice guidelines required by quality of medicines and allied substances it maintained throughout the distribution process from the manufacturer to the distribution of the patient. Chapter 1 Foundation states that the good distribution practices guidelines by ZAMRA requires that there is adequate control of process during the distribution, as the duty to save and protect the public interest goes beyond merely issuing a letter to distributors or suppliers. It has further submitted that ZAMRA is obligated in mandatory terms by Section 54(2)(a) of the Medicines and Allied Substances Act to verify the safety, quality, and efficiency of medicines and allied substances which are manufactured or imported into the country. Therefore, it is disconcerting for ZAMRA to suggest that it was within its mandate to verify the quality of medicines and medical substances and whether they are fit for consumption and use after they were already distributed. Miriam Kemba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
The Zambia Police Service has announced that opposition UPND President Hakainde Hichilema's aide Mubitanawa will be presented to the courts of law soon after conclusion of investigations. Mr. Nawa, who has been incarceration for over a week on allegations of defamation of President Edgar Lungu over a 2020 video, hasn't been taken to court ever since. But police spokesperson Esther Mwatakatongo has justified Mr. Nawa's continued incarceration on ongoing investigation into the matter, which has since been concluded. Ms. Katongo has meanwhile disclosed that despite conclusion of investigations, Mr. Nawa cannot immediately be taken to court because his docket is still at National Prosecution Authority. Mr. Nawa, aged 45 of Lusaka West, was arrested on the 10th of May 2021 for the offense of defamation of the president contrary to the laws of Zambia.
Mubita Nawa is still in police custody. Our officers concluded with the investigations. Docket was compiled and it has been forwarded to National Prosecution Authority as per procedure. What happens is that once we are done with the docket, it has to go to NPA, who are going to peruse through. if there are issues that need to be sorted out, or if there are areas which need to be patched up, we are advised by the National Prosecution Authority, and then they set the date for which the suspect is supposed to appear in court. By yesterday, he was requesting for a police bond, but then the docket had already gone to National Prosecution Authority, and we cannot release someone on police bond without a docket. So if it is him to appear to be released on police bond, then we will have to wait for the docket to come back, or he has to appear in court and then be released on bail. So it will be dependent on the situation on the ground, the prevailing situation on the ground.
Sewe Primary School of Chavuma District in Northwestern Province has been hit with a critical shortage of teachers and accommodation. School Deputy Head Teacher Visco Chijiba has revealed to Cabinet News that there are only 14 teachers against PUPU's population of 640. Mr. Chijiba has further revealed that some teachers walk for 5 kilometers every day from Chavuma Central Business District to the school. He has since appealed to government to send more teachers at the school.
Zambia has made significant progress in increasing access to education, but allocation of resources within the system remains a challenge. The Ministry of General Education has a rule that no school should have pupil-teacher ratio greater than 40 students to one teacher. However, this rule is largely not followed. In order to satisfy the rule, approximately 12,500 new teachers would need to be hired. Therefore, it is understandable that the pupil-teacher ratios of most schools is higher than the maximum allowed. Sewe Primary School of Chavuma District is one such school which has a problem of shortage of teachers and accommodation. The Deputy Head Teacher, Mr. Visco Chiziba, revealed to Camnet News that there are only 14 teachers against 640 pupils. He says some teachers walk 5 kilometers every day from Chavuma Central Business District to where the school is located.
We have successes, and at the same time we have challenges. Mostly I would love to look at the challenges that we are facing at the school. We don't have enough accommodation here at this school. Most of the teachers are coming from outside Sewe. That is Chieke and the Chavuma Center. We don't have clean water. Instead, we have only one bore, but we have a lot of pupils. We need to appeal to the government if we saw that come on board and help us in terms of accommodation, so that teachers are within the compound and then they will do their job.
However, if Zambia is to meet post-2030 Sustainable Development Goal number 4 on inclusive education, more needs to be done. Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
You're still watching Camnet TV Main News. We take our second set of commercials. Coming next is international and sports news.
In this fast-paced era of industrial boom and population growth, there is need to invest in smart ways of managing electricity and water consumption and reducing utility billing costs associated with the postpaid billing system. At Savenda Electronics, we manufacture right here in Zambia different types of high-quality smart electricity and water meters to customer specifications. Savenda Electronics water and electricity meters help you monitor your usage and gives notifications such as low units, tampering, low battery, and many other features. These easy-to-use meters makes it easier to buy units even in these COVID times and top up just from the comfort of your space. Favorable contract terms are available to both electricity and water utilities. For more details, get in touch with us on the following numbers: 0956 580 349 or 0977 498 318. Savenda Electronics, the real deal.
Every day for me means hard work. Going to sell my goods at the local market. To get more customers, I have my secret. Oracle Pure Glycerin. It's soft, smooth, and keeps my skin perfect. And my customers know it. Thank you, Oracle, for my perfect skin.
At Master Signs, our services range from outdoor, indoor signage such as billboards, banners, 3D light boxes, pylons and neon signs. We are located at plot number 397A, Makeni Road, Lusaka, at Oryx Filling Station. For more details, call us on +260 967 100 090 or +260 966 999 981, or better still, email us at infomastersign@gmail.com. Master Sign, we will make it shine.
Camnet TV is here to entertain, educate and inform you. Catch Rise and Thrive at 0730 hours every Saturday. Fresh and new praise and worship comes Monday to Friday at 8 hours. Kids need to be glued to the TV every weekday at 09 hours for their favorite cartoons. Off the pitch with the boys as they talk about sport on Saturdays at 0930 hours.
Remember, we are also here to entertain you with our different varieties of movies every weekday at 10 hours. Join Pastor Victoria and Moses Chilua with Healing Word Ministries International Church live sermon every Sunday at 10 hours.
Katamanda brings to you another journey of gospel ministers on Saturdays at 10:30 hours. The verdict comes to your screens at 17:45 hours. Join the Revival Harvest Church every Sunday at 18:30 hours.
Every Monday to Saturday, join us on the news desk at 12 hours as we bring to you the midday news, and at 19:30 hours Central African time every day for the main bulletin.
The ministry with Pastor Moses Chilua comes every Friday at 20:45 hours. On Mondays, it's your favorite national matters at 20:45 hours.
Wednesday and Thursday, Pastor Victoria and Moses Chilua are on Partnership of Greatness with different spiritual teachings at 20:45 hours.
And Frank on Camnet comes to your screen every Tuesday at 20:45 hours.
Camnet TV, not just another channel.
The much awaited for Camnet conference is now scheduled for May 2021 with your hosts, Pastors Victoria and Moses Chilua.
We have believed that every Zambian was born for greatness, and that you and I can contribute to the development of this nation.
The big questions to ask are: can Zambia develop through agriculture? Can we produce indigenous Zambian millionaires? Plan not to miss this national conference on empowering Zambians through agriculture knowledge. Dates: 28th to 29th May 2021. Time: 0730 hours to 1630 hours. Venue: the Healing Word Ministries International in Ibex Hill. Charges: 950 kwacha, lunch inclusive for both days. Payments through via mobile money on 0962 965 883 or 0979 753 010, or you can pay via Stanbic Bank account number 913000 1825 325. Speakers will be Professor Reda.
We need Zambia to be one of the best nations in Africa.
Professor Munkumba.
If you just listen to a lecture, you may remember hardly anything. In 2 weeks' time, it's all gone. If you read, you may remember 10% of what you've read. If you participate in a discussion, 50% retention of the knowledge. So I always tell people, knowledge is the only thing that when you share it, you don't lose it.
Professor Msongole.
Agriculture can actually solve our unemployment for our youth. Through exports, agricultural exports, we can also stabilize our foreign exchange.
Honorable Bob Chinga.
When you do a budget, you plan it so that all the sectors, especially those that could give you low-lying fruits, in other words, you can achieve a lot with it, are the first things you do first.
And biologist Kamweneshe.
If we came together and put our hands together and concentrate on the soil. The people in Kenya, these Swahili people said, Dongo ni mali, means soil, that's money.
Register your participation through Camnet lines. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Welcome back. We now get into international news. Several African heads of state have arrived in the French capital, Paris, for a conference on how the continent can recover from COVID-19 shocks. Host of the event, France, has said more than a dozen African leaders are attending the summit. Egypt, Rwanda, Senegal, Ethiopia, Ghana, Nigeria are some of the invited dignitaries. Also in attendance is the African Union Commission chairperson. On Monday, the focus of the conference was to rally support for Sudan. The country is transitioning after the orders of the long-time leader, Muammar Gaddafi.
Several African heads of state have arrived in the French capital for a conference on how the continent can recover from COVID-19 shocks. Host of the event, France, has said more than a dozen African leaders are attending the summit. Egypt, Rwanda, Senegal, Ethiopia, Ghana, Nigeria are some of the invited dignitaries. Also in attendance is the African Union Commission chairperson, Moussa Faki. The real message of this conference is that we will not leave Sudan alone to face the colossal challenges imposed by all the transformations to which the people of Sudan aspire. And once again, I salute the resilience and desire for change, especially of women and young people. On Monday, the focus of the conference was to rally support for Sudan. The country is transitioning after the ouster of long-time leader Muammar Gaddafi.
I can't stress enough the need to build a productive economy that would ensure growth and job creation, as creating jobs for our young people is one of the most important priorities. We would like to create those opportunities for our young talent to stay in the country and build it with us, rather than taking this extremely difficult and dangerous journey across the Mediterranean. We're losing this young talent, we are losing our future, not only the current.
On Tuesday, the summit will be on African economies trying to fill a financial shortfall of around $300 billion caused by the pandemic. The reduction of Sudanese debts that will soon begin is a first result. It is important that this trajectory of Sudan's return to the concert of nations be reinforced on the economic and political levels. This is the first in-person top-level meetings held during the COVID-19 pandemic. Africa News will bring you an exclusive interview with President of the Democratic Republic of Congo, Felix Tshisekedi, on the sidelines of the summit.
Tens of thousands of Palestinians in Gaza are internally displaced as they flee Israeli air attacks and seek shelter in UNRWA schools. Israel says it targets buildings used by Hamas or other armed groups, claims that often go unproven.
They fled their homes for safety, leaving behind all their belongings, not knowing if they will ever return to live there or find a pile of rubble instead. For some, the loss is immense.
We were sitting at home, my wife, children and I, all sitting in the same room. We have 3 children. One is a 9-month-old baby. All of a sudden, the house was hit. We couldn't get out. Then came another strike, and the house crumbled over us. They were trapped under the rubble. I started screaming, but couldn't find them. The ambulances could not reach the area for about an hour. But it was too late. My wife and 3 children died.
His is a story that has become all too common in Gaza. This video shows people running for their lives after a multi-story building was hit in central Gaza on Monday. People visibly shaken, shocked and in fear. Israel says it targets buildings used by Hamas or other armed groups, claims that often go unproven. Sometimes residents are warned to evacuate the premises by a roof knock, which amounts to an initial small explosion indicating that Israeli forces are planning to destroy the building. But warning shots or not, the suffering caused to civilians living there is untold.
On the Gaza Strip,
Gaza-based journalist Yumna al-Sayed narrowly escaped death when a car in front of her was targeted in broad daylight.
Without prior notice, there were 4 people in the car. 3 of them came out in pieces.
Embattled Prime Minister Netanyahu has warned that the fighting will continue in full force and it will take time. UNRWA, the United Nations Relief and Works Agency, has opened 50 schools across the Gaza Strip for Palestinians seeking refuge. Tens of thousands of people are already sheltered there, crammed in the classrooms.
It's not only the war, we have to be careful of the coronavirus. How can we protect ourselves and our children?
The UN agency is expecting more people to come.
Is the blue color and the blue flag makes it more secure than their own home. I think at the moment nowhere in Gaza is secure, but hopefully all actors involved in the fighting will respect the blue color of the United Nations.
But safety here is not guaranteed. During the 2014 war, several UN facilities were shelled. 44 people were killed, including 10 staff. Huda Abdelhamid, Al Jazeera in West Jerusalem.
We now get into our sports item. The Confederation of African Football CAF has appointed FAS President Andrew Kamanga as a Vice President of the Powerful Finance Committee. CAF has announced a new team that will lead the work of CAF in the Standing Committee. This follows a proposal by CAF President Dr. Patrice Motsepo to then CAF Emergency Committee, who in turn forwarded the names of the Executive Committee for ratifications. Kamanga will deputize Mr. Fukuze Kalakaj, President of Moroccan Football Federation and FIFA Council member. The Football Association of Zambia President also sits on the FIFA Audit and Compliance Committee, drawing from his solid financial and accounting background. This story is courtesy of FAS Media. Well, that sports item brings us to the end of Camnet TV's main news, but before we go, the headlines once again. ECZ cautions leadership movement against using combat regalia. UPND fails to field a candidate for the MUFUMBWE Council chairmanship. 45 persons denied entry into Zambia due to COVID-19. In international news, displaced Palestinians cry for food. And in sports, CAF appoints Kamanga as Finance Committee Vice President. Before we go, we take a look at our Camnet verse of the day, and it's coming from 1 Peter 3 verse 12, and it reads, "Because of the eyes of the Lord are on the righteous, and his ears are open to their request. But the face of the Lord is against those who do what is evil." Thank you for joining me. I am Precious Mzea Sakaleji. Continue watching Camnet TV, not just another channel. Pleasant viewing.